Hey, what's up, Juice Junkies? This morning, I'm sitting down waiting for my wife to get my kid ready for daycare, getting ready to go to work, and I had a little thought experiment on what would be a great coil, at least optimal or great in my opinion. Something that would produce decent vapor, really good flavor, without being too low on ohms, just because I'm military, I work long hours. I don't always carry my charger with me, and I really don't like carrying 5 batteries in my pocket. So I came up with this little flat coil. It's some of you have already seen it on the Juice Junkies page. That's it. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry. It's the first video I make. I don't have a camera. I have the integrated one on my MacBook, and that's it. So that is what it is. And I'm not a video dude, so I'm just doing it for you guys because apparently everyone liked it. So anyways, I decided to build it. Built it. Had at that time hadn't seen anything online that resembled it. And I'm a single coil guy, so I didn't want to go doing too many coils. I didn't have a lot of time. Anyways, came up with it, put some pictures on Instagram, Facebook, Juice Junkies, put up a video. Everyone seemed pretty excited about it. Mad support from Juice Junkies. Everyone loved it. A few people told me to check out the knuckle coil or knuckle mousse, whatever. Check that out. It looked pretty similar. Now, I'm going to explain the difference here and why they're not the same coil and why they work differently. In my little backstory here, I'm a mechanic in the Army. One of the cool things about being a mechanic is that you actually get, back in training, you get taught a lot about electronics and the flow of electricity, wiring. We don't have to work on it a lot, but some people get to. I get to. During my career, I've gotten a pretty good understanding on Ohm's law and basically just how electricity flows and how it's managed throughout whatever. A Humvee, an MRAP, an LMTV, a vehicle, anything. Just fucking wires and electricity. I checked out that video on the knuckle coil and saw a big difference. The knuckle coil was 4 wraps, if you want to call them wraps. Oh, which by the way, Ray Lopez, I think that is actually a pretty awesome coil. But I'm gonna point out the major differences. That was 4 wraps. Mine is 6, 5, whatever. Okay. But here's the really big difference. His was in the 0.2 ohm range. Mine's up in the 6. What I noticed was that with the amount of space that's between the knuckle coil and, I called it the power plant, but someone said the Flash Bang. I like the Flash Bang, so it's a Flash Bang. The amount of space between each wrap on the knuckle coil and comparing it to the Flash Bang, it's huge. There's a lot of space. When you look at the knuckle, you only have a single piece of the wire touching that wick. There's not a lot of surface area. And what I noticed is that surface area is huge on these types of coils. When you look at the Flash Bang, there is a lot of surface area because all of those wraps are really close together. This is why, even though they're both on different spectrums or different ranges in ohms, they both produce I tested out the knuckle, and they both produce pretty much the same amount of vapor, same type of flavor. The difference is in power consumption. Higher ohms use how do you say that? Normally higher ohm coils, the battery lasts longer. Lower ohm coils, batteries last way less. That's because the amount of resistance that coil is providing is very minimal. So if you're putting out 30 watts, you have a 0.2 ohm coil, those 30 watts are going to fly through that bitch. That coil is going to get really hot really fast. If you have a 0.6 ohm coil built in a same or similar fashion as what the knuckle coil is, you have basically those 30 watts are offered more resistance, so less power gets lost. Okay? You following me? I don't know if you are. I'm sorry, I'm horrible at explaining shit. I build shit and I break shit and I fix it again. That's my job. It's fun. Frustrating. So, the point is that by this coil having more surface area, it has more contact with the wick, more contact with the juice. Now, it being flat and spread out like that, it still offers more resistance, but it takes less power to heat it up. I'm trying to get this right. Sorry, I've never done a video and I hate cameras. So, I'm nervous. I'm sorry. Anyways, they heat up pretty much at the same speed, really fast, both of them. If you want, go check out Ray Lopez's video on the knuckle coil or moose knuckle, not sure. It's pretty cool. They both heat up equally fast. That's why I use a 28 gauge. But there's just more surface area on this one. So by this one having more surface area, it just burns the same amount of juice as the knuckle coil with less power. Your battery lasts longer. I hate carrying so many batteries around. I mean, before I built this coil, I was carrying 4 to 5 batteries in my pocket doing 0.2 ohm coils, 0.3 ohm coils. I made this, and all I needed was 3 batteries, and that lasted me the entire day. I got a fresh battery in here because I didn't even need to use it. But hopefully you got a little understanding on what the differences are. So that's why after I saw that video, I was like, you know what? They were similar, but they're not the same. They work differently. So if you want to say, hey, it's been done, it's the same thing, hey, have at it. I really don't care. This makes me happy. It makes me happier than the knuckle coil just because of the fact that my batteries last a lot longer. So if carrying 20 batteries in your pocket doesn't bother you, then hey, be my guest. Personally, I don't like carrying that many batteries. I spend most of the time under a Humvee or vehicle, and those shit batteries are just flying everywhere. So the less batteries I have to carry with me, the better. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and make it. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Have a little patience with me. Yes, that is a shower curtain. It's a closet. It's white. So if you want to see the vapor later on, I need that. So, alright. Here we go, guys. Hope you enjoy. Alright, this shit's obvious, but you need 28 gauge Canthal. I don't know how much you need. Nail clippers or whatever you have to cut. Tweezers, I like to use too. Makes shit easier. A needle, this is 20 gauge, I think. I'm not sure. And organic cotton. And please, don't be stupid. I've seen people use regular cotton. That shit has rayon. That's toxic. So if you want to dye, go ahead. Use organic. So I'm going to do 5 to 6 wraps. And this 20 gauge. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Make sure they're nice and tight. I don't know if you can see it. Sorry, all I have is a MacBook and camera it comes with, so eventually I'll get something better. Try to get them nice and neat. I mean, you will be breaking them apart in a minute, but you don't want them nice and tight. You want nice even circles when you separate it. Alright, so this is what everyone doesn't understand. I don't know why. It's pretty simple. I said on the Facebook page. Take it off the needle. Just cut this lead out a little longer. Extra wire if you fuck up. So, what you want to do is, I don't know how I'm going to do this so you can see. You want to put it in the tweezers at a slight angle. Alright, fuck it. You're not going to put them in straight like this to try and get them nice and tight. You want to put them at an angle. So, I don't know if you can see that. It's sideways. And while holding, you want to squish it. Flatten it out. You can hammer it, but don't hammer it. I'll explain to you why later. Let's just make the coil first. Squish it. I don't know if you can see it's coming out flat. It's starting to separate now. You're going to squish it and squish it. Try to get it as flat as possible before you start separating it. It'll make it easier in the long run. So, as you can see, it's starting to flatten out. You're no longer one on top of each other, they're more side by side. These little tweezers have that nice little fine point. It makes it easy for you to get in between each wrap and start to separate them. You want to be careful though, because you don't want to get those leads flat. Fuck it. Just try and separate them and get them as even as possible. This is where it's different from that knuckle coil. Alright, so we're separating them. As you can see, they're a little bit more separate now. It's all flat. Now this is where having two tweezers comes in handy. Eventually, I don't know, I suffer from sweaty fingertips every time I make coils. Holding it with one tweezer and separating, pulling it apart with the other set. And you do this wrap by wrap. Yes, you gotta do each wrap individually. If you decide to pull everything at once, it might unravel on you. Took me a few tries to get this figured out. Ow. So that's one right there. I don't know if you could tell, but it's starting to get more definition individually. Same thing. Let's see if I could do this so you guys could see. Yes. See, there you go. I don't know if you can see. See, now they're nice and separate. Looks better. And it's all flat.
I'm the clever one, you're the potato one.
Shit. Phone's going off. Now, I don't know about you, but I like my leads straight, so whatever. Now let's get this mounted. On my little Trident V2 on a Nemesis. And yes, this is a clone. I'm broke. Not broke, just don't make a lot of money. So get these in there. And I know it's stupid, everyone already knows this, but when you're building on top of a mechanical mod, make sure that shit's locked. It was the first time I made a coil on a mechanical mod. It was not locked and burnt the shit out of my finger. Bend leads up. You want to have it as close to the post. Nah. You want to have it pretty close to the post, but I don't want it too close because you actually want to get some cotton behind it. You'll see. Grab your nail clippers or whatever cutting tool and snip away. Alright. Here's the other part. Now you actually get to stretch them a little more. Fire it up. Just get them nice and hot and flexible. And separate again. Keep going. There we go. I don't think you'll be able to see that. Let me see what I can. Yes, I have a lot of keys. That's popcorn. I don't know if you can see how they're nice and separate now. That's what you want. So now let's check our ohms. This should be around, I don't know, I'm guessing 6.2, 6, somewhere around the 6 range. Yep, look at that. Wow, okay, it's backwards, sorry. 6.9. I mean 0.69. I'll figure out how to fix that shit. But so yeah, 0.69. So pretty close. Now for the wicking. This is probably a pretty big deal, and this is where all the thing I was saying about surface area comes in. Leads are nice and tight. Okay, for the wicking, you don't need a lot of cotton for it, but you don't want to skimp on it, because y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all have heard Rip Trippers say this a million times. Cotton expands when it gets wet. So sometimes it's good to have that cotton expand and causing pressure on your coil. Sometimes it's not. In this case, we do want that pressure because of the fact that this is a flat coil. That's too little. This is a flat coil. You have a lot of surface area, and you want all of that surface area in the coil to be in contact with the cotton and juice at all times. I'm telling you, I mean, it's 0.69 ohms. I mean, I've seen some 0.21 ohm builds, and I don't understand. I do understand, and I'll explain it again. This shit burns through juice quick. So you always want it to have nice and tight contact with the cotton. You could always push the coil down a little bit against the cotton. And there's a, I don't want to call it a dripping technique just because that sounds fucking pretentious as stupid, but there's a way that I like to, and this is after my priming, there's a way that I like to drip on these things, especially on this one, in the Vapor Chef Apple Bourbon Tobacco. Love this shit, can't get enough. So you prime that cotton, get nice and saturated, nice and soaked, and position that cotton. Now this cotton doesn't take a lot of juice. Doesn't take a lot of juice for this coil to make a lot of vapor. There you go. There's no gap between the coil and the cotton. And you really want to make sure that's that way. Sorry, I mumble sometimes. Now as you can see back here, now this is how I like to drip on this thing. Why is this shit so tight? Alright. I have all of this excess well back here. The cotton's only in the front. Now, heat attracts liquid. So I like to drip on the well, not on the cotton. Why? I don't know if you guys realize sometimes that every time you put some fresh drops on your cotton, the vapor isn't, there's a lot of vapor, but it doesn't compare to after a while, after a few hits. Now, that is because when you put that juice right on top of the coil and that juice is evaporating, there's juice right on top of that vapor. So it's cooling it off immediately and turning it back to juice. So if you put the juice on the well here in the back, that juice will seep in to the wick and go in from the bottom of the wick up. So you have a little bit of juice on the well. Every time you fire, you get juice from below. Okay? Making some nice juice right there. I mean, fuck, no, nice vapor. There you go. Make a prayer or whatnot. So rejuice it back as always. At least that's how I like to do it. I mean, everyone has their own way. So let's put the cap back on this. See how she vapes. Air hole, single, open all the way. And this is max VG, and that's because I am actually allergic to PG. So I like my max VG. On the Trident V2, Nemesis clone. See how she vapes. Before it comes out smooth. Those first few vapes are going to be pretty rough. Let that coil gunk up a little bit, and trust me, you'll be happy. Let's hit it again. I don't know if you could appreciate it, but on this end, I'm seeing a lot of vapor. Flavor is great. And it doesn't kill my battery as fast. Yes, obviously, it will kill my battery. I mean, it's a sub-ohm build. They do that. But, hey, I carry less batteries with me, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't give me too much shit. We'll see how it goes. If I come up with something else that's better, I'll show you guys how to do it if you're interested. If not, well, tell me to fuck off. I don't care. So yeah, my name is Joey, and you guys have a good night.